Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing a video for the anniversary of something that I have discussed being pretty interested in multiple times on here. And no, it's not for Weed Day or Hitler's birthday, it's for Columbine. I'm going to do 100 facts about the Columbine massacre, except I'm not fucking biased and I'm not so it's gonna actually be accurate and I have sources to back it up. No, it's not fucking Dave Cullen's book because I want that book to burn. That book is really, really bad and he's an absolute jerk, so I don't know about him. The book is terrible. If you've ever read it and genuinely thought by the end of it, oh, this is so accurate. No, he's basically just fanboying over Dylan and it's really strange. Acting like he knew Dylan from the heart. I have 100 facts. Some of them are more well-known, some of them are lesser known. I'll give a summary really quickly. This is a very simple summary, so it's obviously not everything. April 20th, 1999, 27 years ago, 18-year-old Eric Harris and 17-year-old Dylan Klebold opened fire on their school, which was originally a bombing plan. They killed 13 people and then themselves. It became the most well-known school shooting in America. Kind of started a spiral for gun violence. Thanks a lot, Eric and Dylan, you fucking douchebags. That's basically what happened. There's a lot of common misconceptions, so I'm gonna briefly touch on those, and then we're gonna get to the facts. The first one is, obviously, you probably have heard Eric Harris is a psychopath. That's not true. You've probably heard Dylan Klebold was manipulated into it. He was a follower. Not true at all. You probably have heard Rachel was asked, do you believe in God? Not true. You probably heard the same thing for Cassie. Not true. So yeah, a lot of things did not happen. You might have heard Dylan was only depressed, and that's also not true. You might have heard Eric was homicidal and Dylan was just suicidal. That's not true. I'm gonna cite my sources in the description because I'm not one of those people who's just gonna not cite a source. The first fact is a well-known one. I feel like almost everyone who's into this case definitely knows this one, and it is the fact that Eric and Dylan had basically used their friend Robin Anderson, who liked Dylan, as a coy to purchase firearms because she was of legal age to purchase them and they were not at the time. Yes, Eric was 18 when he died for like 4 minutes, but she bought them before this, and she said that at the time she thought it was really sketchy, but she didn't question it too much because she didn't think Dylan would do something like that. Which, that's stupid. Number 2, in their photos, you can see Dylan has a Soviet Union pin on one of his shoes. I'm pretty sure it is on the left one. And multiple people thought that he was a communist because of this. Like, just their classmates before this even happened thought that. Or they thought he was a Nazi. Multiple teachers described Dylan as looking like a Nazi, whatever that means. I think that's a weird thing to say about a student. Number 3, Dylan Klebold actually knew Rachel Scott. And people like to say that that's not true, but he did know Rachel Scott. They went to school together when they were younger. They weren't like friends or anything, but they did know each other. They went to school together, and then they were both in the like film production, like stage crew stuff. Rachel actually did performances. Dylan was behind the scenes and did stage management. She had a performance one time where the music was messed up, I'm pretty sure, and she started freaking out, and Dylan was actually the one to fix it. He basically saved her performance. Too bad he's a cunt. There was a weird rumor after the shooting that Dylan liked Rachel, which is just like not true. I don't know where they got it from, especially because he didn't like Christians, so probably not. Actually, that part's true. People like to say that was on. They did not like Christians. Just use your brain. They didn't like Christians. Number 4, this one I feel like some people will know, some people won't know. What just happened to my phone? It just migrated. Cassie, who was one of the victims, she actually was going down the same exact path as Eric and Dylan pre-shooting. She wanted to also kill people. And this might sound shocking because of all the narratives you heard of her about being a martyr, which is not true, number 1, and being, you know, a devout Christian. She was actually not a Christian for a while. She wanted to kill people with her best friend. Specifically, her teachers and her parents. Just saying. The only way she actually got out of this was her mother found out about these plans because she found notes in Cassie's room about murdering them and decided, yep, you're not going to that school anymore. You're not allowed to see that girl ever again. And enrolled her in a private Catholic school, which she converted. I'm not saying that that will work, by the way. Number 5. This one I feel like most people don't actually know. This is like the biggest reason why I started hating the shit out of Dylan. This was like where I was like, okay, you can't cry wolf and then do this. This is insane to me, by the way. So Adam Kyler was a student at Columbine High School. He was actually among the injured individuals during the shooting. He was a disabled student. He was 16 at the time. He said he had known Dylan because Dylan bullied him. He said that Dylan would bully him throughout late 1998. He said that Dylan harassed him constantly and threatened to kill him if he told anyone what was happening. He did tell somebody what was happening, and his mother went to the school authorities and yelled at them and told them that they needed to get it fixed, otherwise she was gonna get other people involved, to which Dylan did not bother him again. Adam later said that he did end up wanting to commit because Dylan was so fucking mean to him. Keep in mind, Dylan did not like disabled kids. So it's just crazy how you're gonna talk about being some bullshit and then you're gonna drive someone else to want to. That's just so weird to me. I just want to add this in. Dylan Klebold, you are the devil. He's the devil. That's who you should be worried about, not Satan. Also, guys, this video is gonna have a lot less jokes than usual, but this is like an informational post. I like actually having in-depth conversations about Columbine. Like, I really like talking about Columbine. Number 6. This one, apparently most of the world doesn't know, but I feel like some people in the TCC know this. Dylan was implied to actually be the original planner of MBK, which, if you don't know what MBK is their code name for their attack. Dylan mentions the attack first. He mentions doing it with somebody else, so not Eric. This implies that his first choice was not Eric. It was a random girl he liked. Sure, I guess that was gonna work out amazing. Number 7, this one everyone knows, I feel like. Dylan Klebold attended prom with Robin Anderson, the one who bought them the firearms, 3 days before the shooting. So he was living it up, I guess. Dancing. Yeah, he danced. She said that. And I mean, like, not like slow dancing, like fucking actually dancing. But he was there, and I think Devon was there, which is one of his other friends, and Robin was obviously there because that was his date. Afterwards, he hung out with Eric, Susan, who was a girl that Eric was like kind of seeing. I don't even know what their relationship was, honestly. They were hanging out the day of prom instead of going because Eric couldn't find a prom date or something, which I don't know why he didn't just ask her. They stayed at his house and watched movies. Later, I will add this on, Dylan's mother, Sue Klebold, said that Dylan came back. He said it was the best day of his life. He thanked her for letting him go. She said that it was weird because he held up a flask of like alcohol and was like, look, see, I didn't drink anything. Keep in mind, she never knew he had that. He definitely drank something. Number 8, if you're in the TCC, you know this, but if you're not, you don't know this probably. Eric Harris had a chest deformation. Basically what it is it makes your chest look caved in. It caused him to kind of have a hunch when he stood. Like, if you see pictures of him in the yearbook, he's like slouched. Like, it kind of looks bad, I can't even lie. He said that he was insecure about it. It also caused a lot of bullying. Eric, when he would change in the locker rooms, obviously you have to change your shirt, so when he took his shirt off, people would laugh at him and make fun of him to the point where he did not want to even like do it. That's so mean. I'm sorry, I can't get behind bullying someone for a disability they have that they can't control. Number 9, this one is probably more well known. Eric and Dylan have both babbled on about not liking Jewish people, and Eric especially talked about Nazism, which is really funny because something crazy is about to be told. In the basement tapes, though, because Sue Klebold stated that this is what she saw, we can't see the basement tapes. They're unreleased and allegedly broken. No one believes that. During a conversation in the videos, Dylan accidentally states that he was annoyed because his mother made him participate in Passover, which is a Jewish celebration. Sue stated that while watching the video, she noticed that Eric looked shocked and said, "You're Jewish?" Like he didn't know. Oh my god. To which Dylan began to panic and tried to say that he was barely Jewish. Number 10, Devon Adams, who was a closer friend of Dylan's. Devon stated that Dylan was actually scared of dogs. That big thing is scared of dogs. And she said that especially her dog, he did not want to be near it. He was absolutely terrified of it. 11, this is about their deaths, so I might have to censor some of the words. I think most people know this, maybe not the one about Dylan though. Eric died instantly and was the first one to die. Eric ended up killing so that's definitely going to ruin your entire head. And it did. He died instantly, collapsed, basically rose to his head and made his face unrecognizable. Dylan, on the other hand, missed that part of his brain. Keep in mind, Dylan did not same way he did it right here. So Dylan actually collapsed to the ground and was alive. He did not die instantly. And I mean for multiple minutes. Dylan basically was convulsing, having basically seizures, and he was laying straight on his back. So keep that in mind. And for several minutes, he proceeded to basically drown. The pulled his lungs and killed him. Maybe don't be a douchebag. Number 12, the plan was not originally a shooting, it was a bombing and then a shooting. They originally planned to bomb the cafeteria, and that would have killed like hundreds of people if that worked, by the way. They planned to kill those people, and then the people who ran out, they were going to from the top of a hill. Number 13. This one is about Dylan's mental state because he's a little bit cuckoo. Dylan often referred to himself in the third person and would often cross out his own name and say it wasn't him. It's really hard to describe if you're not looking at it. He referred to himself as if he wasn't in his own body. He referred to himself as like this entity called Dylan, and I'm like, okay, you're Dylan, dude. Like, I'm sorry, but like, you're Dylan. He kind of implied that he was a like ghost-like figure. It was weird. I don't know. He's delusional, I think. Like, I'm not even saying that in a light way. I think he might actually be delusional. Dr. Peter Langman, he did an evaluation on Dylan, and it was after death, so obviously you can't be 100% sure, but he said he thinks he has schizotypal personality disorder, which is a cluster A personality disorder characterized by odd beliefs, delusions, strange mannerisms, social anxiety. I forgot to throw this in there, but there's also like ideas of reference and like really bad paranoia and very odd ways of communicating and speaking, which he had all of those. A lot of people also think that he had bipolar too, which I personally do agree with. It makes a lot of sense if you think about it. 14, Sue Klebold Klebold recalled that when Dylan and Eric did soccer together, which I can't even imagine that, she stated that Dylan messed something up on accident, and Eric proceeded to walk over and scream in his face, basically like yelling like this, and like kind of shoved him a little bit, and like Dylan looked unfazed, like he didn't even give a shit. He walked back over to his mom after Eric was done yelling, after his parents had to escort him away. Sue was like, we were in the car after, and I asked Dylan, like, are you okay? Like, that was, you just got yelled at. And he's like, oh yeah, that happens all the time. He's getting abused. 15. Teachers often described Dylan, this is a contrary to popular belief thing, because Dylan was often described as rude, loud, vulgar, and physically aggressive towards teachers and other students. He constantly slept in class and was disruptive and cursed them out. Sometimes he would even throw stuff at them and storm out the room. I understand if you're tired, wake up, you're in school, sleep at night. 16, Eric Harris dreamed of going to the Marines. He actually was going to get in until his mother revealed that he does take antidepressants, and they said no, even though he qualified for everything. And it's important to note that Eric said that that was his last hope. Guys, I do remember he said that that was like the worst day ever. 17, Daniel, one of the victims, Daniel M., he had actually spoken to his father about loopholes in the gun control system and about concerns of them because he thought it was dangerous. The same loophole he was terrified of ended up killing him. 18, Eric and Dylan mentioned multiple other criminals multiple times. A good example is Dylan wrote a paper on Charles Manson, who was an infamous cult leader who led the Manson family and killed a famous actress who was pregnant. Eric mentioned Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols because they talked about Oklahoma City multiple times. They both discussed the Westside Middle School shooters, which was a duo pair of school shooters at a middle school, and they said that they stole their idea and it was their idea first. So I don't know how they would have stole your idea. They did not know you. Brooks Brown also said during lunch one day they mentioned other school shooters such as Luke Woodham, Kip Kinkle, and Michael Carneal. 19, Susan DeWitt. She stated she found Eric to be very respectful, especially to his parents, specifically his mother. She had stated one time Eric actually refused to leave the house with her until his mother was back so he could tell her that he was going somewhere so he wouldn't worry her. 20, Eric's father actually called Brooks's family manipulators, con artists, and liars. He said that they were out to get Eric. I don't know about that. 21, Dylan had actually been accepted into a college and was going to live there and toured the dorms. Yeah, him and Brooks both went to go tour the dorm rooms together. He did not end up going there. 22, Devon. This is another theory that debunks the whole Dylan follower. Devon stated that if Dylan liked something, Eric automatically liked it. 23, Chris Morris, a friend of Eric and Dylan's, got arrested after the shooting after he called 911 and said he knew who the shooters were and provided names, which, bless his heart. 24, Eric and Dylan's nicknames were Reb and Vodka. Vodka for Dylan, Reb for Eric. These are the cringiest nicknames I've ever heard. This came from the fact that Dylan's favorite drink was vodka. Apparently Dylan could chug a whole thing of vodka. That's fucking nasty, bro. And Eric's was a shortened version of Rebel, which not really anything rebellious about him. Dylan also capitalized the DK in vodka and everything else was lowercase because it was his initials. 25, Cassie Bernal was not asked if she believed in God. It was actually Valine Schnurr who was asked by Dylan Klebold if she believed in God. To which she said yes, no. So she didn't know what to answer. And Dylan said, why? God is gay. 26. Dylan was the one who actually informed Brooks about the threatening messages Eric was leaving to Brooks on his website. He actually was the one who informed Brooks and told Brooks, don't tell Eric I gave you this. Eric then got reported to the police. This prompted Brooks' parents to contact authorities. 27. Eric and Dylan were not part of the trench coat mafia. They knew people in it, but they were not part of it. The members of it were kind of not a thing when they started wearing trench coats. They weren't really a group anymore. And a lot of the group members even said, we don't condone violence and we didn't really even talk to them. We don't know them. 28. After their arrests, they had to both fill out forms basically describing their mental health states. Eric actually was very honest on his. He willingly admitted to multiple things such as having homicidal thoughts, constant anger, obsessive thoughts, thoughts of harming other people, all that kind of stuff. He actually was really honest and marked down everything he genuinely felt. I think the biggest thing was his anger. Dylan didn't answer anything. Dylan lied about everything. So before you're like, oh, poor Dylan, he could've got help. Well, maybe if you admitted to stuff, you would be more available to get help. This man literally didn't even check off. It was marking down your worries, and then you put money, job. Dylan, stop fucking lying right now. 29, Lauren Townsend, one of the victims, was actually a candidate for the school's valedictorian that year, and she intended to go to college to study biology. 30, after Eric had left his bag, I think at the bus stop once, Brooks brought it back to his house, showed his mother, after a friend had given Brooks the bag. Brooks's mother took Brooks and that friend back to the bus stop to give the bag to Eric, and she said she pulled up and told Eric, hey, I got your bag, I'm gonna meet you at your house. And she said he proceeded to freak the fuck out, frantically freaking out, trying to bang bang on the window, tried to get in the car. He tried to yank on the door handle. And she said, I've never seen him so frantic. What was in that bag? I don't know, probably bombs. 31, Rachel Scott, who was the first victim, was actually discussing in her private diaries that she knew she was going to die soon. 32, the only reason Dylan tried drugs and alcohol the first time was because of his brother, who had actually been kicked out of the house for smoking marijuana. 33, Sue Klebold, Dylan's mother, said that she was unable to finish the basement tapes because she was so horrified by the things Dylan was saying. 34, Dylan wrote a pretty concerning paper about a guy shooting at college preps. The teacher was obviously very worried about this because that's not normal, and she contacted Dylan's parents, to which they said, oh, he's just so creative. So he didn't get in trouble for that. So 35, on Dylan's driver's license from 97, it states he's 180 pounds, which might not be 100% accurate, but it's around an estimate. He was 6'3" at the time, by the way, and at his time of death, in his autopsy, he was 143 pounds and still 6'3". I don't think that's normal. If you see his death photo, his arms look like sticks. 36, Eric Harris actually wrote a school paper discussing the issue with guns in school. Ironic, isn't it? 37, most people did not run at the beginning of the massacre because they believed it was an elaborate senior prank. That's why if you've ever listened to any videos about it, they were all like, we didn't think it was real, we thought it was a joke, it was a sick joke. 38, Eric was actually taking an antidepressant at the time of the shooting and previously was taking Zoloft. 39, Kyle's mother, one of the victims, stated that she believed it would be the last time she ever saw her son that day. 40, Eric Harris had to move multiple times due to his father being in the military, and he later expressed that it was frustrating and made him so angry all the time because he would make friends and basically have to leave them, which made it difficult to have friends and feel secure with those friends, which is probably why he latched on to Dylan so much, guys. Come on, let's use our thinking caps. 41, on their arrest reports, Dylan lists Eric as a good friend and Eric lists Dylan as a best friend. 42, this is a pretty well-known one. The code name they had for their attack was NBK, which is shortened for Natural Born Killers. 43, on the day of the shooting, Susan actually did run into Eric. She said she was leaving early for a family event, and when she talked to him, he seemed very agitated and very anxious. And she said that she stayed and chatted with him for a few minutes. 44, Cassie Bernal actually stated to her mother that despite being a devout Christian, she wasn't necessarily one of those people who was going to push that onto everyone else. 45, sadly, this man was spared. John Savage was a friend of Dylan's specifically, and he asked Dylan, what are you doing? Dylan said, just killing people. And then he said, are you going to kill me? And then Dylan said, nah, man, just get out of here. The reason I say that sadly he wasn't was because John Savage is on the defender list now. So much for that. The first example of something called the Columbine effect was only 8 days after the shooting at W.R. Myers High School. The shooter was named Todd Cameron Smith, and he apparently allegedly was prompted to kill people after seeing Eric and Dylan. If you don't know what the Columbine effect is, it's basically a chain of shootings that happen and were motivated by Eric and Dylan. So a good example, I think, of that would be Virginia Tech is a good example, honestly, because that guy was fucking obsessed with them and thought that they were martyrs and were doing good for the world. Things were happening. 47, Eric Harris, by the way, this just straight up automatically disproves he's a psychopath, like y'all want to say. Eric stated that when he sees a dog injured or dead, he bawls his eyes out. 48, after the shooting, Isaiah Scholes, who was the only black student killed, his parents claimed that it was a racially motivated attack despite him being the only African-American killed, which, could be attributed to the fact that there was no black people in that school. They started saying it was racially motivated, and when his death definitely was. But overall, the attack was not. It was not a race-related thing. When that was disproven, they just started making up other conspiracies about it.
I do want to clarify that I said that his death was because Dylan literally called him a racial slur, so.
49, many classmates later actually described Eric as quiet and a little bit intimidating, but he was mostly just quiet. 50, a girl who was inside the library. If I heard someone say this while I was being, shot at, I'd lose my fucking mind. I'd be so goddamn scared. She said that Dylan was walking around, saying you know what I've always wanted to do? Stab someone. What? What is wrong with you? Why are you like that? Also, it was stated that classmates said Dylan had a fetish for knives. That would explain it then. That would explain it. That with feet. 51, police literally fucking found weapons under Eric's floorboards. They literally missed some and had to go back. What if it blew up and then his whole house just went boom? He's dead. Whole family's gone. 52, Eric, Dylan, and Zach, their friend, were all suspended because they hacked into the school's computer system. I'm pretty sure to get someone's locker code. 53, after Dave Sanders, the only teacher killed in the massacre, was shot, he was pulled into a classroom by students, and after they realized he was probably going to bleed to death, they wrote on a whiteboard, "1 bleeding to death," and hung it in the window so the authorities would see, and no one fucking came, so he died. great guys, I'm really happy you're like trying really hard, like going to fucking school. 54, I feel like a lot of people don't know this one. The only reason there was actually security cameras in Columbine was literally just to see who kept leaving fucking trash behind. Crazy world we live in. 55, originally 2 crosses for Eric and Dylan were set up next to their victims' crosses, memorial crosses. Multiple parents of victims came and cut them down and moved them. Like, that's just like insensitive. 56, the shirts wore by Eric and Dylan, the natural selection and the wrath, which Dylan had 0 wrath and Eric was not naturally selecting anyone. He's disabled. He would have been fucking selected first. But they were specially made, like they handmade the text and then had them specifically printed. 57, Dylan Klebold actually talked about on separate occasions, not about MBK, but just going on a random shooting rampage and blowing himself up. This one's embarrassing to me. 58, co-workers did not know Eric was named Eric. They really thought his name was Reb. 59, Sue Klebold said that after their arrest, she did not want Eric and Dylan hanging out and literally kept them from hanging out unless it was for school or work. And after they both passed their programs, they went out to dinner to celebrate, to which Eric's parents were like, no, he's doing great. Like, he's got his anger under control and he's like medicated. So like, I think they should link up. And she was like, okay, probably shouldn't have allowed that. 60s, Sue said that she remembers the time that Dylan had to drive home Eric from work because Eric was so distraught about his dog or something like that, which, I guess Dylan's being nice for once. He's a great guy. He was nice once a blue moon. 61, after Eric's date for homecoming rejected to keep going out with him and Brooks planned a fake which Eric pretended to bash his own head in with a rock, and Brooks was in on it, acting all shocked and scared, and then they both started laughing, and she said, you guys are idiots, and left. 62, Sue said that she recalled one time when the family was like going out to eat or something. They were sitting there, and she said that Dylan looked really nervous, and when she said, what's wrong? He said, Dylan said there was a group of teenagers, I'm pretty sure, like behind them, it seemed like, and he was like, they're staring at me, like they're making fun of me. And obviously she was like, no, they're not. They're not even staring your way. Bro, no one's looking at you. Stop doing that. But yeah, and she said that he continuously like said, like, we need to go, like, now. Is he having like a fucking manic episode right now? Like, what's going on? 63, Dylan told his mother that if Eric calls, just ignore it or make up an excuse for him. He didn't want to hang out with him. Damn, just say that. 64, prior to the shooting, Eric denied ever being he did not mark down on his police reports, but his officer that was directed to him said that Eric did express wanting to commit 2 times in his life, but mostly out of anger, not seriously considering it. 65, Eric and Dylan, paired with occasionally their friends, would go on missions in which they would basically just do douchebag shit, like blowing up stuff and throwing things at people's houses, and stop trying to act like you're like punks or something. Eric said that they would get drunk after. 66, Dylan stated at one point to his mother that his trench coat made him look fat. Keep in mind, Dylan was a stick. 67, the two only wore 1 glove each during the shooting. Dylan had a left-handed glove on, Eric had a right-handed glove on, and this was because Dylan was left-handed, Eric was right-handed. 68, at prom, Devon stated that Dylan had actually made plans to go out with her on a date the 21st. This was strange because that's a day after the shooting. 69, the day of the shooting, Sue said that she did remember Dylan waking up really early in the morning. It was about 5:30 a.m. and he was all completely dressed and storming around the house basically pretty loudly. And when she said he just kind of went bye and then slammed the door. And she said that she remembers going back and telling Dylan's dad, like, he seemed really upset. Like, can you like check on him when he gets home? So they didn't check on him when he got home. 70, Brooks Brown said that he found it pretty odd that Eric Harris was not in their history class that day because they had a test and Eric never missed a test. But he did say it wasn't that uncommon for Dylan to not be at school because he skipped class so much and just wasn't there sometimes. Great student, really studious. 71, Dylan's father actually told Dylan's father had told authorities that he was willing to literally enter the open crime scene to go try and negotiate with his son. Oh, he's fucking 5 people in, so you might want to hurry up. And 72, Devon Adams actually, she said like he would like, they would like hang out at each other's houses and like he would like sleep over at her house and they would like listen to music all night. She actually skipped Dylan's funeral service to go attend Rachel Scott's instead, and she later said she regretted that a lot. 73, the police that went to Eric's house after or during the shooting said that his parents were not cooperative at all. They didn't even want them in the house. They tried to tell him like, you can't come in. They continuously, while they pulled out weapons from Eric's room and violent material from Eric's room, said, I just don't want you looking through my son's stuff. He's dead on the ground. 74, after the shooting, a injured student, her mother right after. So this poor girl got in a shooting and then her mom in front of multiple people in a gun store. What is wrong with you? Not her mother. 75, 10 of the 13 victims were killed in the library. The 3 that were not were Rachel, Daniel R, and Dave Sanders. 76, in his journals, Dylan wrote about wanting to sleep and blow himself up if a girl he liked did not like him back. 77. Eric actually blamed the van incident on Dylan, though it actually kind of seemed like that might have been accurate because Dylan was the one who broke the window. Dylan threw a fucking rock at the window. 78. For most of the shooting, neither of them wore their coats, and in fact, one of them wasn't a trench coat. 79. Eric's autopsy showed that he had a shattered nose. If you're wondering what that's from, is when he was trying to be all cocky and shoot someone, he fired a shotgun with one hand. It recoiled and bashed his nose in, and he broke it. People literally described it looked like he ate someone. Clean that up! And then you could hear him in the 911 call going like, Dylan, I'm okay. I'm okay. Dylan didn't answer. 80. A student at Columbine High School said they had received a threatening letter in their locker telling them to back off from Devon Adams. It's most likely from Dylan. 81. Eric said he hated racists and thinks they deserve to get beat, or only if they're a woman though, because of course. But at the same time, he was racist! He said that N-word like 50 times! 82. Devon stated that she used to play football and Dylan was the only guy who would not tackle her. She said at one time when she got injured, Dylan immediately freaked out and ran over and like helped her. 83. The boy's old boss said that they were actually really good with children, considering they watched, I think it was either his niece or his daughter. They watched like the girl for him and said that they were like really good with kids. 84. Their old boss said that they were described as being tied at the hip. Get away from each other. 85. The worst bullying incident is the most well-known one. Eric and Dylan were cornered and basically circled by a group of football players, had stuff thrown at them and called slurs and basically called gay, and then they laughed at them. Pretty sure there was a thing about Dylan coming home and just bawling his eyes out that day. This one's really gross, so just a warning. 86. When Eric Harris's body was picked up and removed, a mask fell out of his fucking head. Yeah. That's really gross. 87. In the CCTV footage, you can see Eric and Dylan come back multiple times in firing, and what they're firing at is their bombs that ended up not working very well. It's not going off. Daniel M's dad basically said he had to like beg Eric's parents to even speak to him. And that's just insane to me because your son killed his kid, at least speak to him. 89. Eric and Dylan met in middle school and it is implied that Dylan approached Eric first. 90. On the day of the shooting, their friends' whereabouts. Robin was off campus. Susan was off campus. Zach was in class. Brooks ran off after seeing them. Chris was off campus and Devon was in the school. 91. One of Eric and Dylan's friends were arrested. More of Eric's friend. He filmed a lot of the videos. Was arrested afterwards for threatening to finish the job. Who do you think you are, boy? No one knows who the fuck you are. 92. The news stations apparently had no censorship skills and just straight up aired the dead bodies of Rachel Scott and Daniel R. 93. Craig Scott, who is Rachel's brother, stated he unknowingly ran past his sister's body, and he also was in the library where two of his best friends were killed right next to him. 94. Dylan, this fucking asshole, called Isaiah racial slurs because Isaiah was black, and then tried to drag him by the leg to get out from under the desk. What's wrong with you? And then Craig later said, this is really sad, he said that he remembered Isaiah saying he just wanted to see his mom. 95. Eric and Dylan were both teased by a group of girls once who, sorry, this is funny to me, who walked over to them and stated that they looked the same, dressed the same, and kind of were always together. So when was their wedding? They both got insanely rage baited and like slammed their fist on the desk and like ran off. 98. Eric mentions Dylan in almost every fucking page. Like genuinely of his diaries, it's almost in every page, and Dylan barely mentioned Eric. There is CCTV footage where you can see Eric at the day of the shooting in his natural selection shirt, literally purchasing propane tanks. 98. Bands that they liked, this is not all of them, but this is the main ones. The bands they liked included KMFDM, 9 Inch Nails, Chemical Brothers, Marilyn Manson, which was mostly just Dylan, Rammstein's, The Smashing Pumpkins, those are like the big ones. 99. Dylan stepped on bodies of the injured victims multiple times, even walked up to one of them who was struggling and said, "Do you need some help?" and pretended he was gonna help him up and him in the face. What the fuck is wrong with him? Dylan calls 9/11. My new conspiracy. 100. The 13 victims. I want to name all of them. These I all wrote off the top of my head.